they tried something new out, and it didn't work. That happens sometimes. It's okay. YFP to take first map of Ascent 13-2, sticking with what they know. Well, Dobros, they swap it up. They embrace the chaos. They embrace the ISO. And Tenrek, this time it didn't work out for them. I don't know why you're all such haters over here.
No, it's a real shame because I love seeing Zachary play different duelists. His Neon is very fun to watch, but that's kind of the thing, is like his speed is so integral to how Dobros operate as a team, and getting rid of that speed factor, even for just one map, to favor this ISO, it's a huge risk, and it's one that just did not pan out at all. Dobros just had zero momentum to ride off of for a lot of these attacks, and YFP, they looked so in their element the whole way through. So much of this Sensi util getting all the value in the world.
I mean, when I look at this map, even just putting the agent selection aside, this is an up and down map when you're looking at the end of Dobros, and YFP has been proven to be really, really strong here, and it was their own map pick. So for Dobros, taking this loss, even if it was in a little bit of a rough fashion, is not something that is necessarily the most surprising coming out of this series. I think when you're looking at the agent composition, that's a really easy thing to blame off of the rip. But it's just not a map that's really gone their way, Gompers. So you know what? We can put it behind us. That's okay. We can reset and look to brighter pastures to Haven.
It sucks too, because the Glazers really do have so much potential. I think Zachary is a phenomenal player on the duelist. It was difficult, and I feel like playing ISO, there's a lot of very unforgiving parts of that util that make it very, very difficult for you to profit. So especially when Penny's going 21-6, it's like you're looking at the stats, you're looking at the numbers, and it just does not work out for DB.
I mean, let's talk about YFP here, because yeah, Penny hopping off on the jet. That is now, we highlighted Penny's agent composition heading into this. Now within the last 4 matches, Penny has played 4 different duelists, always popping off. Fantastic to see the whole team stepping up. YFP, I mean, they've had this deadlock comp for a little bit now, Tenrek, and it really just gets to highlight everybody at their top. Even Will putting up a fantastic performance here.
Yeah, this it's crazy just how much better this YFP squad looks week to week, and Will and Jake fitting in like gloves. They're taking their respective roles when they need to, and then when they're allowed to do something a little silly, they do something a little silly, and hey, it's been working really well. I love Will's want and aggression, able to shift the tempo basically round to round, was so integral to making sure the Dobros were constantly kept on their toes and just couldn't react accordingly. And how about Thief? Constantly lurking up mid, always being that opening blood whenever Penny wasn't. Just always that presence, and you can't really come off of that with a W when you're taking those disadvantageous fights.
I mean, it's a tough YFP to be going up against. Maybe in stage 1 it'd be a little bit of a different story, but this YFP now looks so good. And looking to continue that momentum now, heading into our second map here. We're going back over to Haven. This is going to be Dobro's pick. They already were cooking up over on Ascend here, Gomper. So I frankly don't know what to expect. Any team that we haven't gotten to see on a Haven ever or in a while, I don't know what their thoughts are. So this should be really fun to see what's coming out on both ends.
I feel like this is where I actually feel more comfortable with Dobros, surprisingly, just because they can't. It has not been that long. Like, obviously, we got to hear from the interview previously, like, so they didn't even know that Haven was back in the pool, right? So this could very well be the case, and we could just, actually, maybe not. They definitely were cooking something up if they picked this, but at the same time, I don't think they would go out of measures, honestly. Maybe settling with the Astra, the same thing that we've seen before. I feel like that's comfortable.
It'll be interesting for the end of Dobros here, because when we're looking at Haven and we're looking at kind of Dobros and what they've been through Tenrek, I feel like they definitely have this potential to cook up something that will really, really work for them. And I love that they're not afraid to kind of step outside the box and cook. And I mean, at this point, if YFP don't really have a good answer into anything, or they just get outcooked on this map, this could be a 3-mapper.
I agree. We saw it last match with Blinn, a team that was, by all accounts, outmatched on raw mechanics, and Dark Zero was able to outpace in the end of that. But coming to Haven, this new map where you don't necessarily change too much of your composition, but you throw a wrench in the gears, and you can really, you can play for the long haul here. And that's what I think Dobros are very much willing to do. I expect to see a really huge change to the speed of play for this team, and I'd love to see some really solid lane control from this team. They seem like the perfect concoction of 5 players to just hold on to A main, hold on to C main for dear life and not let it go. I'm really excited for this attack, which is not what we'll see first.
Hey, well, you're talking about speeding things up here, and agent that we saw on that first map that I know you two were a really, really big fan of was that ISO, of course, getting a new breath of life here in the newest patch. But Neon as well, we got to see in the previous series, both duelists having their time to shine here. And when I'm looking at the duelists across both of these team gompers and just the spacing and the speed they need for Haven, I could be fun. I could expect this pick coming out from either or both teams.
I think so. Oh man, it's so hard to determine like what the heck is going on, because after what I just saw, I don't really know what's going on anymore. And it's not even that it was bad. I thought they were going to cook with that. Like, I was excited for it. But again, you really do never know. And time is the essence of the game. There was more comfort with, the composition that we got to see come through with, obviously YFP. They were very, very comfortable, but coming into Haven, it could be the opposite, right? Taking advantage of a new map being DB, and there's that. So it could be the fact that they know that maybe YFP haven't had as many rips as they have. Maybe they were preparing for a moment like this to come, and it really could show.
I mean, you never know what teams are working on behind the scenes. I mean, even in the last series, oh yeah, we kind of forgot it was back. I don't think that'll be necessarily the case for all of the teams, so I'm excited to see what they have going on. It's time for our agent select and get on over to Haven. I'll catch you two after.
Thanks so much, Sierra. And indeed, there is a lot to look forward to coming into this agent select, where there once again is quite a bit of change. Zach is on the Neon, baby. Just what I wanted. That's the one thing that I was going to ask for and hope for after seeing Corey especially, and I got it, and I'm very happy with it.
I'm seeing a recurring theme here. I feel like I'm back in deja vu land with the Neon coming through, and then the team that just lost suddenly making like the OT, right? So
yep.
I think this is pretty good for Dobros. I think Zachary handling that Neon is going to give them the chance to honestly show what they have, because they have so much power and potential behind their aim, their mechanics, that this is really going to prove, to YFP that they are capable of doing a lot more than what they previously did.
We'll see if this team can once again pull off the upset, hold on to that map differential, that with a group that spans quite a few teams that are in the same boat as Dobros, struggling to find more than one win, could be very crucial, very influential to the standings in which they would love to hold on to. These are two teams closer to the bottom of the standings in Challengers. Both of them would love to have those extra points. YFP to get in playoff contention, Dobros to escape the relegation conversation. But it starts on YFP's attack. A very strong one we saw before on Ascent. We'll see if they have the same here on Haven, with very little change to their composition that they boasted when it was in the pool 6 months ago.
Yeah, slow pacing to start. Just trying to get a feel for what this team is trying to accomplish with this Neon, and the deadlock as well, settling in. So
yeah, feeling good to start things out here. But cut short, YFP will walk into another vacated A site and just walk up for this fight. Do they want to take drone here? They'll hear Zachary start to step in. Yeah, they just want to take the fight with whoever might be here. They'll rush in Penny all the way into CT, having to manage the grav net. That means he's only good for one. And Link, now open for business. Dobros could have the opportunity if Physic doesn't find the best off angle in the world. Everybody with util up, but only one found. Recon bolt onto site to prevent the immediate getaway, but Dobros are still on, and they are still locked and loaded. Zachary standing alone. Jake the turn with the right click, impeccably performed. Now in the 1v1 to clutch up against Riku, who taps, gets close, has time. 3 kills for the Sova. Can you defuse?
No.
Absolutely not.
no way. Dude, timing of that is precious. And the fact that he was able to catch Zachary at that exact moment is crazy. Was that was Penny? No, that was, my apologies.
That was, yeah, that was
Jake.
came in through Link.
It was Jake.
Yeah, Jake, that turn was crazy.
It was, I was surprised I didn't hear them prior because they were jumping around, but I'm assuming maybe, shifted a number on that. YFP, though, that was a huge comeback, because if they had lost that, then it would have, provided Dobros with the necessary means to continue to take as much as they can. But I'm seeing something happening here. They'd be looking for Zachary to take that first shot.
And he might very well, especially if attention isn't paid to this A main. Could step out there for the potential flank. But it will not, at least initially. Waiting for the rest of Dobros to scream on back. But all the way over at C site, it means Penny has the easy watch to make sure they know that there's this big block coming from spawn. Looks like they'll snake up through garage. YFP aware of how many angles they'll still have to manage with that uncertain information. Trapwire destroyed, but now we just spray through the smoke, spray through the cages, and let that gun diff show itself on the kill feed. Physic manning up Blink. This is probably the toughest job, which is why Penny has come to help him with it. And now the reinvasion into garage just to finalize these last couple kills. Zachary holding onto a shotgun to at least grab one.
Ooh.
Riku with a sheriff to get one for themselves as well. Always fun to see them. One of the more accurate players from the league. But a recon bolt, like a Looney Tunes cartoon, falling into the pocket to guarantee the last kill. And YFP, the second round.
There is a huge play coming through from that. And especially now with Jake having the hero rifle and attempting to settle down with that. I think, yeah, huge plays here, especially with the buy-ups. But for Dobros in particular, this is where things can take a turn. Obviously setting up for Precision and Zachary to take in some sort of B-side work. But I don't think they're expecting this team to put a lot into this financially.
No, certainly not. Zachary, early swing on this high gear. A little bit of attention paid. Oh, Riku. So much of a battlefield in front of them, and they don't recognize. That's a huge early loss. Your retake game is completely destroyed, and so Dobros, they have to stake the claim on A site now, and they can't when they're blind. Headless chickens running around site, and YFP once again collapse entirely and unequivocally. Every angle managed, every kill sanitized. And though, able to catch Thief on the off angle. Penny updrafting to heaven to make sure that nobody can have a second peek here. And Dobros recognizing that their time has come and gone. We'll try to hold on to these guns and save in round 3. Something we saw all too often in the beginning of their Ascent defense too. Though this time they won't be caught off guard by someone like Jake.
Oh, still. For YFP to take in 3 now is really, really good. I'd say terrible for the mental of DB. They're going to have to pick this up. Because it does suck, right? Like, you lose the last one going 13-2. And now you're trying your absolute best to keep hold of Haven. A map that you picked with a composition that you've practiced with. Leaving Zachary on, a duelist that I really do think he has potential with. So, yeah, timeout. Now settling in. They don't want deja vu. And if anything, right now is the moment to figure out how they're going to utilize this pistol round to set up for the next round.
Yeah, time is now to figure out what you're going to do. And it's really hard. It's Haven defense with a paper-thin composition as well.
Yeah.
This double initiator can be snapped like a twig, and then what does Zachary do? That's the really tough part. Is this is a Jenga tower just waiting to fall on the right site, and if you lose your initiator, then you can't open, so you can't play for retake. If you lose Zachary, then you can't reliably retake either with the same speed, so you have to util dump even heavier before you even start. Again, 5 crucial pieces of a puzzle where if one of them dies, then it would basically harm the entire structure of the team. But it doesn't necessarily mean that any one player is carrying or having a super standout performance. It is just a well-oiled machine with every piece of it important to its function.
Yeah. Could be... Man, these buy-ups? This is so risky. It's not really too risky in the sense of they're not going to be able to buy next round, blah, 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 because they can. It's not really the worst thing I've seen in the world, but investing so heavily into drones util and then having 2 people play with their vandals, this has to be such, they have to be on their A game on the defense here.
Well, that's why Drone is playing with Zachary instead of anybody else. You see how much heavier this presence is going to be, but having to shoot down that cam means that YFP already know your game. And so they'll rush even heavier onto C-Site, which has to be just completely let go of. Pretty easy plant here for YFP. After they cross the T's, dot the I's, etc., etc., etc. Of course, I would say that if they're going to commit to the C site, but it doesn't look like they do. They'll actually... What's the opposite of insert? Outsert from C site, and with a minute still to play, it looks like they want to bank off of DB and their premeditated rotation to get an even freer site on the other side of the map, and oh my god, they're actually going to make it work.
I have this
I think
fight.
it might, but maybe not.
Unless they're too slow.
Yeah, because Thief is looking to lurk this out, and yeah, catching out Ange by timing is exactly the game they want to play here.
Paranoia has to get dropped, but so does Thief from the fight. And now there's no time. There is no time that is better to rush. Sonic Sensor will confirm this position. Oh, it's Penny that gets the lurk kill, and still stepping out too early. That's some great conditioning for later. Riku on the Hunter's Fury to dissuade the drop early, and it'll actually do some great chip damage to where Zachary feels confident going in with the overdrive very early, but that is a collapse. Very little time for YFP to plant, but with the personnel diff, they will. And some fun opportunities that DB tried to come back on with their gun disadvantage, but ultimately, it doesn't do enough damage to everybody on YFP, who sit at like 2 players worth of health collectively for the end of that 4th round that they'll take.
Putting some profit into the last round, which wasn't dangerous. Again, like they had some sort of safe spot moving into the next. They are able to invest. Obviously, Light Shield's not looking the most ideal, but I think here the biggest say is the fact that they haven't necessarily lost out on their A fights. They're still going to apply that pressure, having precision, waiting to apply that fault line for this moment to work. It seems like that's where Zachary's going for now, up in hand, and too much movement.
That's such a great recon bolt. That just shuts it down, and Zachary shooting between Jake's legs! Riku will swipe back on top of a flashpoint, so A presence is not certain, but YFP are no longer gunning for it. They've already moved on! Into B site we trek, where Jake has used that into the shadows to take an early backside as well. This round may already be decided. DB, you can see the meddling, but already YFP, they'll invade. Precision the trade back. Physic low, attempted shock dart to play keep away, but Precision ends up winning that 2-4. And so DB have a chance to reconvene and invade. Jake backing out, not enough on the Paranoia, and Drone shuts down Will. DB get theirs the whole way through, and will keep on trucking to grab their first round of the game.
Keeping their composure.
Oh yeah, get the ultimate, or get the operator.
Yeah, they're keeping their composure there. They're good to keep the op as well, obviously. To give more potential to Zachary, but that did look dangerous the first couple seconds, I'm not gonna lie. But moving into a rotation, interesting choice, you know, for the side of YFP, thinking that might be the best bet, but of course 2 ultimates settled down into their side of YFP, Physic and Thief, and they're just looking to solidify themselves with information and more so a solid post plan.
Yeah, that was really well taken. The britches of YFP on this B site have to be quite big, and if DB can shut those down from Link like Precision did so beautifully, then that will not be an option. Which makes me wonder why they're playing so denial heavy on B main right now. The utmost confidence in Drone. Sitting alone on Sewer, as Penny will rush on into this. Have to take this fight, and you can't for very long. You're gone. A site is YFP's.
I know exactly.
Will looking to plant this down. And everybody's on the extremities, but the op's still there. It's going to be so much harder for retake. Hunter's Fury. Not necessarily looking for anybody, but up inside of heaven. Slowly making themselves find some sort of potential for space, but the smokes are making this so good for Jake to keep hold.
One enemy remaining.
Yeah, just gets to step back. Sick fadeaway from Jake to be able to grab a second there. That's great. And another sick round for YFP, who, once they have this free sight, it's just a game of clearing the board for the first 30 and then dominating the fight the next.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting them to kind of just run into that. Like, giving themselves away over to YFP. Everybody else honestly just looking so dominant, and they're just going to keep applying A. And even though maybe it's worked once, it hasn't necessarily worked majority of the time, but Zachary feeling confident with a stinker here.
Here.
Yeah, this is a nice confident position for these anti-lurks,
Yeah.
which are very important against YFP. These Senti cutoffs have been really important to the flow of North American Valorant, in fact. Great chip done to both Drone and Ange. With not too much of a trade back. But it does require a lot of util being burned from YFP, including that Owl Drone, which is pretty crucial when you're still playing all the way from T. So Dobro's pretty content with that. But as that has raged on, this presence in lane with these worse guns instantly gains far less value because you have no reason not to util dump into this, right? Oh, do you even have to? Physic? I'm gonna have an aneurysm, dude.
Dude, they just
okay.
killed that. Like,
Yeah, on to A we go. Physic is still alive, I guess, dude. Hopping on to Precision. Dude, YFP are just... They're worrying about killing DB like 2 seconds after they look at them. And yet they're still winning.
Wow.
Oy, oy, oy. That was a little unfortunate. Obviously gun diff. Obviously. But, yeah, I mean, a patient YFP leads to a fragmented DB on a round that they try to salvage.
That was just an unfortunate round of events of having literally no cash money in the bank, I'll be honest. But
Yeah, it's so relatable,
for
though.
Dobros, there is a chance to pick this up. They just keep doing the same thing, and they're not conditioning YFP into anything. They're constantly trying to push up A, and it has not been working. And this is where you have to start to really migrate yourself somewhere else. And again, Zachary's such a huge potential player, and I like the way they're playing alongside Drone, keeping themselves meshed well with somebody for a potential, but now moving up towards B, and tons of information and utility settled down.
Wow. The second they see that breach, they just want to throw that Rolling Thunder on him. Precision getting walled out here for a very long time. Sight and some change. So much space. But that's because some of it was sacrificed by Dobros. That was so gross, dude. Oh my god. Sorry. Some of it has been sacrificed in favor of taking over the courtyard, which has been smoked out, so you still have to invade dry. Oh, what a fun high ground that Jake takes if he grabs this one as well. Oh! I can't take any more. Deadlock ult's got him, but I mean, what do you do now? If you're Ange, you win the first fight against Penny's dry swing, and then unfortunately don't do anything else as the Deadlock ult expires, and so does the Deadlock after a pick onto Thief, and YFP make it 7.
This is like a huge dent into the mentality of Dobros. Dude, they come into this kind of, hoping they can settle the score, at least put themselves a little bit further, in terms of points, but quite difficult. Though, ultimates ready, Precision, tons of potential, and the same play coming down in A, which, again, like, if you are YFP, can you read into this? I think there's more to it, though, especially with the amount of ults we're seeing come down now. Yeah, fault line.
Ooh. Zachary almost got the drop that time, and it's a bit of a mess over in the lobby, but it's one that will clean up first. And Precision the one to go to. That's so tough. Jake off the ult. I mean, it's very obvious where he is. Now it's even more with the paranoia. Yeah, I mean, not too much guesswork there when you're in the 2v1. So, great shutdown off of this off angle, but it's an off angle for a reason. Jake is the one. Ooh. The 4 are perched up just fine in C. Physic for the free plant and the Omen ult to guarantee the information that DB already have.
Dude, Jake's ultimate surprisingly was good, though. It directed the attention, yeah, somewhere else. So now DB thought they were committing, and now they're not. Penny slowly moving themselves forward.
And he still gets out of that. He's going to take it again. He's just fearless here. Thief for the 1. But that's all. And another cleanup up link. But yeah, like you put so eloquently, Jake really just existing forced over so much of DB to take care of him. And from there, you can just walk on over to C site. And honestly, I mean, once they get spiked down there, it's, I mean, we haven't even had to watch the game, really.
It was just, yeah, tons of attention put down there. And even though it didn't work the way they planned down on the A site, it still is, you know, the repetitiveness that they're able to pick up on. And I think that's good. The YFP not really falling into some sort of conditioning. And hopefully we do get to see something different, which I feel like we are down in Garage. Obviously, 2 players, Drone and Ange, waiting.
Yeah. Nice early kill by Ange. Off of another lurk from Thief. See, DB know YFP's playbook as well. It's just beating it. That is the issue. That's where they meet all of their troubles. Lot of attention paid to this Garage presence, and for good reason, because now it's more than just Garage presence. It's Garage and window presence. Jake is all the way over to Link, but Drone only has to manage that fight before taking on the rest, and so is able to at least get rid of that. So YFP, once again, they'll have to climb a bit to get back onto site. These solo efforts are going, and then they don't end up actually pulling for the team. They're good for just the one. And over time, when you're running out of it, that doesn't do enough. Zachary, the open peek in the 1v1 leads to YFP at a disadvantage for one of the first times this game, and they don't have much to go off of either. They've already lost a lot of their intel and util on just trying to open these main lines.
Yeah, they do have ult though, so Precision could pull through and win the game. This is like perfect spot for DB to be in, unless they do get taken out by Penny. And even though Zachary doesn't have much to play with, they still do have the ultimate. They're pulling it out though at the perfect time.
Spike planted.
Yeah, there's the overdrive. Physic, I mean, you know what you're about to deal with. Almost didn't want to deal with it. He was like, no, I don't want to look. I don't want to take the fight against Zachary, please. Sorry, man, you're the last one on. You got to do it.
Thrifty.
Another round for Dobros, a crucial one as well. And it comes from I don't want to say like arrogance from YFP, because that makes it sound like DB kind of just got handed the round. But I mean, they're picking up on the trickery that YFP is trying to pull pretty consistently. The thing that works best for YFP so far is attacking like a normal team.
I think that, and like they're always like at least near the surrounding of A.
Yeah, they're always around,
taking out either Zachary or Precision or Drone, right? The top 3 that are typically there, and that works best for YFP. But I think DV definitely settling back a bit, not looking for that anymore. Instead, just looking to protect the site and play for that objective.
They have a lot of faith in their Link presence. YFP do too, and so they're not even going to touch B. They actually just wanted to goad out the Hunter's Fury. That was beautifully done. But Zachary has a pretty open peek through lane now, and he's seen a knee. Will he see a bit more? Enough to kill off of? No! He'll see the Owl Drone first and the fault line second, which means he'll have to skedaddle just a little bit. Head on over, and uncertain about the intel, will head back on over to Sewer. His tried and true home. YFP? They'll try to poke this B site there again, and with a lineup, Thief can open it very quickly. Perfect timing is his name and game. And Ange has to sit alone and try to take so much on. Can't do it. Zachary with the operator, the only one standing. And at this point, too close for comfort. Not enough time to save, and only 1 round to go anyway. Hey, see how many kills you can get on this operator. Why not?
No, and with that, still keeping himself solidified pretty well. Although with Zachary, yeah, being able to pick off the first shot. The op's going to be difficult, though, to try to get themselves some sort of entry.
Another. Hey, let's go! Ace, 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 ace.
Might be. No, actually not. They do need to get the fuse on. Yeah, whiffing out on that. Will just knew, like, the movement, the mechanics, they had to be better than that. To go up against an op. But again, last round before the switch, DB, they haven't looked so hot on the defense. This is a very attackers-sided composition, in my opinion. But I do feel like, you know, they've tried their absolute best with being aggressive on the defense, with trying to apply that sort of pressure. And it just hasn't worked out. I think, you know, just reading too well into this team. Obviously, we saw the drone come out and offset Zachary from playing with that op on the side of A. They just know that somebody's always going to be holding that position in that ground.
Yeah. Well, this time it'll be C Long. Saw Zachary doing this a lot earlier in the half, but it didn't get as much mileage as that Sewer presence did. And what do you know, that'll happen again this time. YFP will actually use that lack of a neon to take over a lane the most convincingly that they have so far this game. Most of the time, it's just been something they pass through. This time, it's got to be something they fight off of, and Thief does so beautifully to begin in the cage as well to make his position uncertain, but with the help of the paranoia, Ange will make it an impossibility. Not even his own, or not even their own. My fault, gang. Physic with a Hunter's Fury and the Deadlock ultimate as well. Jake will swing on to Drone to shut that off. And this A fight in bits and pieces to the point where Dobros are actually finding some advantage. Zachary and Lobby on the runaway that Physic is able to catch, and that's because he's heading out. He's leaving A site. And so in response, so will DB. Ange, very quick to the punch, actually. They will not be able to get a free plant here if all goes well.
30 seconds left.
Ange will hear this.
Yeah, but Physics in such a good spot. Even then, 2 shock darts readily available for the post plant, and a slight workup from Penny with tons of information as to where these players are not.
Ange is already in, knows that Penny is still on the way back, but loses the fight. And that's your sole opportunity gone, no? I mean, both players are kind of chipped at, though. So be careful on these jump peaks. They are hairpin length. Physic has some fun shock darts, though, so have to wait for those. And, yeah, it is a foregone conclusion to the point where it'll be the same one we saw at the end of the half, the previous map, a 10-2 for YFP.
Yeah, especially with the rough upbringing of, now we have to save because next round we have to purchase to make sure we don't head over to match point, and that's the mentality Dobros are keeping for themselves. But again, it's just the Switch now making its movement. And huge potential to try to bring things back just because, you know, you got Zachary playing on the Neons, a super aggressive agent. And I do think that this, if used correctly with the U2, I think the barrier mesh is going to prove to be so helpful on an A site push here from Drone.
Yep. There's a lot of good things. There's a lot of praises to sing about this composition for DB.
Yeah.
And on paper, these players seem like the perfect people to execute those strategies. We keep our eyes on Zachary for a lot of the first part of this half. He is the fulcrum for so much of this attack to get on site and guarantee it. And here he comes, sliding in to steal your girl. Huge recon boat that Thief just uses for a free 2. And hopping down for 3. Almost make it 4, but gotta reload. And now this is the moment where the Dobros have to lock in, but with the paranoia, there is no more opportunity to. And a solo doing so much of the legwork means that the rest of YFP barely even have to clock in for this first round on defense.
Dude, they just destroyed.
That was, yeah.
Deep jumping out window was so sus, but it literally all was just because of the Sova util there. Being able to ping out where everybody is, that's a huge play coming through from Physic. And it's like, it's so simple. Coming, like, you would think that the smoke would be such a difficulty up in heaven, but it worked out so well just because if you're utilizing the Sova to play up in heaven, it's like everybody's just down.
And there are no roofs. You just let that thing fly. And yeah, getting that double ping was crazy. Enough for Thief to have a Phantom. And the rest of YP to just buy into this. Zachary will rush onto site. Not the best position for Will to be in, but with the gun tip, he can still make it work and at least get 1. Same said for Thief as the rest of YFP come crawling on back to site. And the wraparound from Penny will actually be quite integral to making this round function because Precision has just managed to find 2. Perfect timing for that jet lurk.
Match point.
Let's end this.
And like just a huge pickup coming through from YFP. Dude, it really is just like this team playing together all the time, scrimming it out, figuring out what works and what doesn't, having Will be, I mean, such a solidified factor in the team. 6 assists, yeah, but, you know, a huge help to the strategies that they're settling down with. But I think this is big. DB might just, you know, with the correct execution, might just be able to take this one in.
But it's got to be now and perpetually for 10 rounds. It starts in a lobby where Penny will miss one of his outlaw shots, get the other on Precision, And again, targeting who? You don't even need to, because Penny's just going to come out and kill everyone else. Headshot through the wood, by the way, so Drone's sitting pretty at 9 HP.
Yeah.
And yeah, Thief's going to finish that off pretty cleanly. Now it's just the lane presence. Spike is stranded. Thief just gets to hang out. But Ange and Zachary instead, they'll focus on that frontline push, and they'll grab the rest of the team. So it actually just comes down to Thief in this 1v2, starting out with Zachary, who will end up finishing to 5 health to keep these guys alive.
Hey, when there's pressure present, you start to play your best game, and I think that's just what is going to have to happen here, obviously. My biggest issue is, like, if they want to continue this, again, like, the only sentinel they have is deadlock. There needs to be more hold, and that's what we're just not seeing. The post plan isn't working because they're not able to get on site, and when they are, there's absolutely nothing keeping anybody back from doing anything, and it's just almost impossible to keep that post plan solid. But I think here they're finally figuring out, the ways of entry and finding those 1v1s.
And that's, like you said, that's kind of the format you have to play with if you're Dobros. You have to go for these isolated fights where YFP do not have the capacity to be better than you. Like here, with the Sheriffs, because they're still going to headshot you. And is at 5 HP. They are not on site yet. Now they are. Zachary hops on with the slide. Inside the smokes, YFP is posted on site, and Penny will use it to grab just 1 kill. But Dobro's gun diff shines through, takes out the presence on site. And Precision has that Rolling Thunder in the tank as well. No answers this round for YFP. It will take a full buy, at least on this first go-around, to guarantee the match.
This is the pickup. I think this is good.
Yeah, lock in, you know?
Yeah, they're also starting to realize, like, the importance of... I mean, they definitely knew the importance of their U2. It was just not being able to win the fights, but Drone... kind of settling down the barrier mesh A, you just cannot get past that.
Nope.
If you're YFP and you're playing into that, but the ultimate now loaded up and, a big save from this team to be able to give themselves some sort of leeway. The mental starting to bring itself back up. Zachary now being set up for plays that are going to help them, especially off of Riku. They're doing an amazing job at really solidifying the fact that, hey, we can get the site.
Yeah, especially with that triple swing. But those are the opportunities you search for the kill off of. Very brave of Penny, but so much damage out of it. And Drone will spend another round at under 10 HP. C-Lane, not a great option then, right? We don't have too much we can toss in there. We kind of just have to walk through a barrage of gunfire for 5-10 seconds. Let's not do that. Let's instead take Garage, where there is somebody who is potentially way closer, way within range, way more susceptible to our gigantic stack, named Penny, who is now going to swing out of the smoke of the door of Garage, because no one's watching him, and he now gains all of the courtyard, enough to grab Riku, head back into T-spawn, and basically play the long game. So now YFP can head on to B-site itself, and grab the other kills they need to make this fight an essential impossibility. Zachary has to spend time grabbing Spike, in fact. So you have 1 backsite, 1 on-site, 1 T-site, because you need to hold on to this lock on Penny until he leaves, which is why Ange has to wrap around door here, which they will successfully do. But meanwhile, the rest of the fight is going on to where Zachary has fallen on top of it. Drone, the next line of defense, would love just 1 kill here. Will get it. Headshots, bread and butter. Huge deadlock ult, but that's all there will be.
Wow.
No one even grabbed off of it, and the rest of the fight from mid is taken care of too. Again, Dobros, the equation is always there, but YFP have ascended like no other team has as of recent, and they will be in the top 2 coming out of this week in their group.
Listen, Sierra's here, and I want to hear your voice. I need to hear your voice so that
comfort us, please.
Gompers really said, I don't know what to say after that series. Sierra, please bail me out. What is happening right here? I got you, girl. Don't worry,
God,
don't
I love
worry.
you so much. Thank you so much.
I mean, simply YFP at this point of the competition, they're just looking so good. This was for new to YFP coming into stage 2. And, I mean, they don't need to cook. They're sticking with what they know, and what they know is winning. We get to see that again. I love the ideas that Dobro has brought out here, Gomps. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I think with a little bit more kind of cooking, things like the Neon could be really, really good, especially, too, since the team does have, again, I feel like I'm on repeat saying this, there is the talent on this team. It's just unfortunate that we don't really have time for them to cook anymore. It's now or never, and I guess it's not now, not this week.
It's 15 first bloods. And
Jeez.
and a huge dub with a 13-4. 2 rounds more than the last game for GB. And I'll be honest, I think the main issue is just like on the defense, there was absolutely no hold. There was nothing to solidify themselves. As to where, you know, with Cypher Util, you can shoot it down, but there are things you can do to give yourself, you know, potential, right, to play with your Util. I feel like with Deadlock, it really isn't under that case. It's very punishable, but I do think that the Util just also wasn't used as much as I wanted to see it be used.
And just need a little bit more cooking time, but a little unfortunate.
Yeah.
Rolling over into our stats stage, gotta talk about YFP because again, Tenric, they're looking really, really good. They're sticking to a classic, staying with the Jet and being able to see, I don't know, just Penny just frag out doing Penny things is always just such a delight in the server.
Yeah, that's 40 plus kills in about 50 rounds for Penny.
No big deal.
That's, I mean, just some really impressive consistency coming from this duelist. And it didn't necessarily come from solely inserts. A lot of the time, Penny was just the first watch and still just won fights because he's that good. I think every member of this team deserves just all of the flowers. Just everyone really put in the effort. Jake and Will, again, fit in so well, and they'll do even better next week. Like, this is a recipe for destruction of a team.
Yeah, this YFP squad with time is just looking more and more terrifying. So I'm excited. Next week, they'll be taking up, going up against M80s. That'll definitely be really, really exciting to watch. And back through the series as well, Gumps. I mean, YFP, when you watch them work, they just seem so coordinated for a team that made the changes after the midseason cup. Like, everything's just coming together so smoothly.
It is, honestly. For YFP, I'm heavily surprised. I thought this was going to be a super close game, and I guess I apologize to YFP because I guess that means I held them to a lower standard and a lower regard. But it was simply just because, like, you're looking at match history, you're looking at the Series 1, or season part 1, I'm brain farting, of Challengers, right? And, like, you kind of look at their performance back then, and now you're looking at, obviously, the newer edition of Will, and being able to see, you know, how well Penny's working with Will and Physic. And Jake as well, honestly, and Thief. Everybody's just really making this team work so dang well. And you can see that based off performance. You can see that based off the amount that Penny is performing. If you look back at past history, it's 10 times better stats-wise than anything that we've seen. And it's great. Like, you can see the work is being put into everything. Mechanics and play styles and maps. And I wasn't even expecting them to show up on Haven because Haven was a map that, you know, has just been recently added to the pool, but they've been cooking too.
They're not slouching, is what I'm seeing coming out from YFP. Like, they're here to play. I believe now that puts them second in the group. Like, they're a team that is absolutely ready. We're gonna have the opportunity to chat with them too, but I have to take a quick break to get them in calls, so stay tuned.
Territory is mine. I have them now. One enemy remains. Hey.
Enemy down. Cage 3.
One enemy remaining. Yikes. Enemy remaining. Flawless. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. Planted.
say in life, there are no guarantees. They say a lot of stuff like that. Slow it down. Play it safe. Hedge your bets. So what? You gonna listen to that? You gonna stop because they can't guarantee you'll pull this off? No guarantee you'll win? No guarantee everything's gonna be fine? In life, you make your own guarantees. Nobody else will light your way. Start your own fire and keep it burning. And we guarantee you'll have one hell of a lifetime.
Welcome back, everyone. We just got to see a dominant YFP victory over Dobros to be ending off our week. And on the line to chat with us a little bit more, we have none other than Star Duelist Kenny. First off, I have to say congratulations on the win. Y'all went up against some funky stuff today. Dobros were pulling out all the stops. We got to see the ISO. We got to see their neon. When you're going up against these sort of comps, you kind of think you need to switch anything up again, or just kind of know if you stay consistent, keep to your game, you're going to get the dub in the end?
Well, you for sure need to switch stuff up. I feel like we didn't really expect them to do any of that, but we were able to identify pretty quickly how to play against it. And I mean, before the game even started, we knew what to do against it and how to win, and it was that simple, I guess.
Doing well prep definitely paid off in the server today. So I was curious about your agent pool in general heading into these changes and looking at, hey, even this neon and stuff, considering that you have floated between quite a few different duelists. But you guys kept to something a little bit more atypical today. Was it kind of more so comfort with going back into this, or just thinking, hey, if it's not broke, don't really fix it at this stage? Because YFP has been winning a lot.
Well, we need to win out the rest of the season to make playoffs, right? So I think we just want to stick with what he's gonna like do that for us consistently, and that's kind of what we're going for right now. We want to consistently be able to win these games to get good points for the split.
Definitely makes sense. There's a lot riding on this stage 2 standings, that is for sure. And talking about needing to kind of just win out the rest of things, looking ahead at week 5, you're up against M80. I'd love to know your thoughts of that matchup to be ending off the split.
Well, I think we have a lot more momentum than they do right now, and they are just like implementing a new player, and I think we're like very confident in like our own team right now, so I don't think we'll have like any like confidence issues going into it.
Glad to hear it, YFP. I mean, y'all have been cooking, and it has been showing up huge in the server. So it is a Friday. Y'all did get the fast 2-0, so I will let you go and be able to enjoy your weekend. Penny, congrats again on the win. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too. Thank you.
Thank you. As for us, Penny's off the hook. Our analysts are not quite yet. Time to bring back Gompers and Tenric to be wrapping up the day. I mean, YFP, they're looking ahead. They got the eye on the playoffs, the points they can get, and I mean, Gompers, they're definitely in a good spot to be able to do so. This team's looking really clean.
They are. Obviously, it shows with the performance, right? With seeing YFP taking in what, like 13-2, 13-4, is something that I wasn't expecting today. Quicker games than I thought. I honestly thought I was staying here till 11, but obviously not.
Well, I want to make sure we can all enjoy our weekend too, so we'll keep this one moving along. Take a little quick look back at the week. This has just been so up and down. I say this, I feel like every single week, Tenric, but you can never know what to expect coming out of Challengers. I think today's matches kind of more so went in the way of expected results, but even just the journeys to get there was not what I fully expected coming into this.
Yeah, I mean, to your point of kind of the expected happening, that is a massive deviation from what has been going on the rest of the week, which has shaken up the standings a lot more than maybe a lot of the other conventional weeks really have been. This is a huge week for YFP, kind of breaking away from that status quo. Same can be said for SAD Esports with that huge win on MXS. There's still a lot of change happening, and this late into the season, that is so exciting to see as an avid viewer.
100%. And talking about those standings, let's roll them. This is definitely, there's a couple of expected things on here. I mean, Oxygen being at this 4-0, fantastic. Zark 0, former Turtle Troop, if you're a little behind on that one. 4-0, not a surprise, but looking at like YFP sitting at this 3-1, looking at MXS at this 2-2, Gompers, I mean, there is absolutely so much going on for even M80. They've had